Alright, I was looking through the Quizizz results, and there was 5 problems that seemed the most difficult for everybody. So I'm going to try to go over them. I'm going to go through 5 examples that were actually from the Quizizz. After that, I'm going to do 5 more examples that I'm going to ask you guys to pause the video and try it on your own. And then hopefully that helps you to understand the most difficult problems that I've noticed from the Quizizz. The first problem that I noticed was difficult for you guys was the inscribed angle compared to the intercepted arc. Remember that the intercepted arc is going to have the same angle in degrees as the central angle would have had if you had an angle right here. So all of this, that's definitely more than 180 degrees, because it's even more than just being straight across. It's actually bent backwards more. So you're expecting a number bigger than 118, and the way it's going to work out, remember when we pull it back, it's half. So if you're going back to the center, you're going to double this number. So you'd go 118 times 2, and you get 236. So this angle right here would be 236, sorry, this arc right here would be 236 degrees. This central angle right here would be 236 degrees. If we were going in reverse, you would just do the opposite. So if I told you this arc is 236 degrees, and then I ask you, what is this inscribed angle? You divide by 2, and that's how you'd get back to this 118. Next type of example was this one, which was actually more difficult than it should have been. So I apologize for that. I will show you an example like that, and it'll be a lot better. The thing that you're going to have to remember on this kind of problem is just going to be that on the inscribed quadrilaterals, the opposite angles are always supplementary. So that means like right here, V and B, those two angles are across from each other. That means that if you got angle V and you added angle B together, they would have to make 180 degrees. So if I gave you this 74, I'd be asking for a question like, if that's 74, what's angle B over here? And the way you would find it is you go 180 minus 74. And you get 106, which would be the question that I would be asking you guys. So I wouldn't give you the arc over here. Instead, I would have given you another number. Like, let's say I give you that this is 140 degrees. Then I would ask you for this angle, angle C. And the way you would do this angle is you would go 180, because remember these add up to 180, minus the 140 that was across the quadrilateral, and then you would find out this angle down here would be 40 degrees. So that's the type of question that I'm going to ask you on the test. This one is very similar to the first example that I showed you up here. So on this problem, here's your central angle. That means if this is 45, this arc would be 45. If it was asking for arc AB. And then this angle right here, this inscribed angle, is going to be half. See how it looks thinner, it looks smaller, it looks more closed in? That's what's going to remind you when you divide by 2 compared to multiplying. So right here, you would go 45 divided by 2, and you'd get 22.5 degrees. Then there's this problem where in this triangle, one of the sides is actually the diameter for the circle. Whenever you see that, if you go across from that diameter, this is going to be a right angle. So if I'm asking you for Q, you already know it's 90. This question was actually asking you for angle R down here. So the way you would find this angle is you would go 180 for a triangle minus 90 for the angle we already have here, and then minus 39 because we already know this angle. So that's 51 degrees. And then the fifth type of problem was the one that was like this full circle, and then it has a bunch of central angles, and then you have this diameter cutting across. And it's asking you for JH, which is from here all the way to there. Well, if you look at JG right here, it's a diameter. It's cutting down the center. That means that if I know that everything across is half a circle, everything's 180, And then I already know this side's 55, so I can take that away. And then I can cut off these 50 degrees, and I'll actually know that this central angle is 75 degrees. This one, because the arc was 50, this is 50 degrees. Vertical angles would make this angle up here 50 degrees. And then the part that I actually asked for, the JH, that was on the Quizizz, would be these two added together. So you'd go 55 and 75. And you get 130. So for JH, it's going to be 130. If I was asking you for IG, you would add 75 and 50. If I was asking for, I think this is K. If I was asking for KI, you would add 50 and 55. If I was asking for KH, that'd be 50, 55, and 75, which looks like it's a diameter, so it should be 180. So this is the second part. This is where I'm asking you to pause in between the problems. I'll set it up, I'll tell you when to pause, and then try it out, and then unpause it, and I'll show you how to do the work. So that's as close as I can get to me actually being there for you guys. So let's say that I have this drawing to start with. And on this first example, I give you this arc right here is, let's make it 40 degrees. So if I ask you to find the measure of angle AOB, please try finding that. So if you were looking for AOB, the way you would do it is the central angle is the same as the inscribed arc. So if that's 40, that's 40. Easy. Let's try the other part. We already know this one's 40. So the other question that I could ask you is ACB, which is the inscribed angle. So try to find the angle ACB. So for ACB, that's the inscribed angle in here. That one's pulled back from the center. It got narrower. It's not as wide as it used to be. So that means this is where I'm going to cut in half. So I would get that 40 divided by 2. And I've got 20 degrees. Next example. So the other one was the inscribed angle and the intercepted arc. So let's say that I give you this angle right here is 150 degrees. Please find the arc for GE right here. If this is 150 at the center, it would have gone wider, 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 and it actually would have been a really big angle, more than 180 degrees. So on this problem, you would get the 150, and you would multiply by 2, and you would get 300. Okay, so in this example, let's say that I gave you that this arc was 300 degrees from G going, let's say that this was E, F, G, H right here. So if it was arc GHE was 300 degrees, and then I was asking for GFE, go ahead and try to find this angle right here. So if you tried the problem, if it's 300 here, at the center, that angle would have been 300, but it's not here, it's pulled backwards. So you see that it gets narrower, like instead of being a really big angle, as it gets pulled back, it gets narrower. So it's going to be cut in half. So you get that 300, divide by 2, and that means this angle would be 150 degrees. Right here we have an inscribed quadrilateral. And the rule was that on the inscribed quadrilaterals, the opposite angles are supposed to be supplementary. So if I give you that this is 60, angle A is going to be the supplement for that. It's not going to be the same. It's going to be what's left over from 180 when you subtract. And then same thing with V and B. Remember, those are going to be supplementary. So go ahead and try to find angle B right here. and let's see what you guys get. Okay, if you tried it, then for angle B, you would go 180 minus 65. And you get 115. So this one would be 115. Let's try the other one. I gave you angle C was 60. Try to find angle A now. So if you tried to find angle A, I'm going to call that Y for being the second thing. So you would go for angle A, 180 minus 60. That means the angle A right here would be 120 degrees. For these problems, the way it's going to work out is I'm going to give you about this much information, and then I'm going to ask you for a few arcs or a few angles. So remember that if this is 55, this arc is 55. If this arc is 50, this angle is 50. So don't forget from first semester vertical angles, if I tell you that's 50, you have to have 50 up here. And then if this central angle is 50, then that means this arc is also 50. So since we're going to try to do a few of these, let's go ahead and find all the little pieces before we start adding them together. So like if I'm looking for this angle in here, that's half a circle, so that's 180. I know these two are 55 and 50, so I'm going to go 180 minus 55 and 50, and I got 75. And then I already know that this side is 180. JG is splitting that circle right down the center. So if that side is 180, if that's 50, go ahead and try to find this angle right here, K, whatever letter that's supposed to be, G. So I guess I'll put a C right here for center. Okay, so K, C, G. Go ahead and find this angle that goes from K to C and then to G right here. So if you were looking for this one, you'd go 180 would be half a circle. This side's already 50. So get the 180 and subtract 50. And you have 130 degrees left for this central angle. If that's 130, try to find the arc KG. It's 130. Go ahead and try to find the arc IH. That right there would be the same as this angle, so it'd be 75. Try to find the measure of arc, and then let's combine. Let's go K, G, all the way to I. So K, G, I. Go ahead and try to find that arc. Okay, for KGI, if you look, KGI is 130 and 50 and 75. So you're just going to go 130 and 50 and 75. And you get 255 for the arc KGI. Okay, let's try one more of those. Let's go GKI. So GKI. So if you try GKI, from G to K is 130, from K to J is 50, from J to I is 55. So add those together, 130 and 50 and 55. And if you add that all together, you find out GKI is going to be 235 degrees for that one. Last part, though, is this triangle that is inscribed inside of the circle, and one of the sides is actually the diameter for the circle. Remember that when you have that, instantly you already know what this angle is. So go ahead and write down what you think this angle is. Okay, this angle should be 90 degrees. So I'm going to put a square to represent 90. Now, I have to give you one of these angles. So let's say that I told you this angle was 48 degrees. Now that you have this angle is 48 and that angle is 90 and all triangles are 180, go ahead and try to find angle P. Okay, so if you tried it out, you should have got, when you subtracted 180 minus 90 minus 48, 42 degrees left over. That's this angle right here. Now while we're here, let's go ahead and practice the inscribed angle compared to the intercepted arc. So if I was asking you for the measurement of the intercepted arc from Q to R, this part right here, please find the intercepted arc, the measurement of the intercepted arc, QR. So to find that arc, you would get that 42 and divide by 2, and you would find out that your arc is 21. So hopefully this helps out.